Hey guys, thanks everybody for coming to our webinar with the topic Can AI transform the way we estimate construction projects, namely how our technology has evolved thanks to our customers and the main conclusions we have made during this journey. So let's get it started. And here is agenda, right? So we will start with initial idea, then I will talk you through challenges we had, then I will show you in a product what have we built, and I will explain what was the first wave of feedback and how we responded to it. Then we will come to the second wave of feedback, and after that we will have questions and answers session. And after which I will summarize what is the current automeasure suitable for, who is the current automeasure suitable for, and where do we go. That's it, right? So let's go. So initial plan, the initial idea was a simple one, right? Back to that moment, we already knew how quantity surveyors and cost estimators work, and we knew that they work with PDF drawings or DWG drawings or even PNG drawings, right? And so we knew the input and we knew what they needed, and they needed actually measurements, relevant measurements extracted from the initial drawing, right? And so our idea was, okay, let's kind of train our data set, let's extract all necessary data, and let's give them measurements so they will kind of manage those measurements and they will get what they need. They will get their cost plans or quantities or anything else, right? So that was initial plan. Then we had definitely challenges, right? So the first one, where do we get a data set? And the second one, which market do we start with? And actually I would change the place. So the first question was, which market do we start with, right? And back to that time, we already had quite a few friends from the United Kingdom market, and we already built some relations with consultancies in there, which actually kindly helped us to understand their processes and to understand what does their jobs to be done, right? So this is why we've chosen United Kingdom market. And then the next question was, where do we get a data set? And it was a tough question, right? So the construction world is a quite tough from a data set standpoint of view, right? First of all, no one wants to share with you any drawings. Even if, they have a plenty of shitty drawings no one uses, etc., etc., no one will share them with you. NDA, the construction industry is full of different NDAs. This is why we came to console sites, right? So in the UK, there are a lot of console sites where applications and drawings are being hosted, right? And so you can easily go and download them from there. So this is how we got a few thousands of drawings. Also, we found quite a few clients who actually were able to share with us some drawings. Thanks to them, this is how we got our probably first 8 or 7,000 drawings. And obviously we couldn't work with the whole range of different drawings, right? So this is why we decided to start with a floor plan, right? So we were looking only for floor plans, no elevations, no cross sections, no structural drawings, just an architectural floor plans, any level of details. So that was our challenges, right? And then it's time for me to show you how we I think we did solve those problems, and we build up a product, right? And now I'm gonna do a very quick demo. I'm not going to show the full demo, I'm going to show the only auto measure function. So in order to see that, let's create a project, and to this project we need to upload drawings. So I'm gonna upload this specific project. We can call this project demo, and I'm going to create this project, right? So as I create a project, those of you who know already what does 2D Takeoff, right? So they know that basically we have a PDF browser, Excel spreadsheet embedded here, and our measurements panel, right? So this is our PDF. And this particular PDF contains a lot of different pages. We can open all of them. We can jump in between those pages. And let's probably hide for now this Excel spreadsheet because we don't need it. So we have PDF, and we can set it up, right? So we can adjust this PDF. This is how it actually looks like. And let's say I'm gonna use black and white, night mode, this kind of opacity to see my measurements in a better way. I need to set up scale. Let's say it's 1 to 100, apply, and then I can launch our auto measure function. So it's a very simple, not sophisticated floor plan. This is why it will take probably around 15-20 seconds. So let's wait a little bit. Oh, it's done actually. So you see, we got auto measure worked, and it gave us 156 measurements. All those measurements, they grouped into folders, right? And we will go through those folders and we will understand what does they mean, right? So first of all, let's say we're gonna see what windows we did find. So in order to see them better, let's reduce opacity, right? So we can see that software found windows. Then we can go and see doors, right? We can go and see openings. We can see living rooms, right? So we can see cupboards, we can see bedrooms, we can see hall, we can see corridor, right? So we found corridor, stairs, balcony. You see, there are some mistakes, obviously, right? What else? So obviously, when this kind of folders I mentioned, that's our primary measurements. And when we got primary measurements, we group them into secondary measurements like flats, right? For example, if I isolate my flats, it's a kind of combination of measurements, so of rooms, walls, doors, and this is how we got the flat area, right? Then we can check GA, we can check GIA, we can check NIA, and obviously we can see all the walls we have, right? So you see walls, you see some artifacts, but still, right? So we defined all those measurements. And obviously, let's say we want to see all auto measure results. And obviously, when you need to find something specific, you just press doors here, or windows, or or flats, or whatever. So you can use this search to go through your measurements, right? So you see here, it's a pretty big dump of data, and actually you need to have a patience and you need to spend a lot of time in order to understand and to sort this data. Obviously, in our Excel spreadsheet, we had a specific tab which is called Auto Measure Results, which actually contains all those measurements dumped in a one spreadsheet. So here is a PDF name, then the page name, then we can see the folder, we can see subfolder. You see, right? This is auto measure folder, window subfolder. Then we can see different groups by size, 1000 millimeters, then 900 millimeters, etc., etc. Then we can see area, perimeter, and then definition whether it's element. Is this external or internal, right? So it's kind of dump of data, and the user needs to go through it and to sort it out, right? So let's go back to my presentation. And so we did what we did, right? I showed you right now approximately how did we implement the idea we had, right? And then we published our product back in May 2021. And the users came, and we started getting a lot of feedback about that, obviously, right? So, and here is the most, I would say, the most common feedback, and we're gonna go through it, and we're gonna address each point of them, of this feedback, and I'm gonna explain what we did and how did we improve the auto measure results. So the first point was there is not enough accuracy, right? And this is the point where we kind of expanded our data set, we improved our post-processing, we improved our pre-processing, and then, for example, some of those problems, they were connected not only with dataset but with the quality of the drawings. So the drawings with a lot of hatches, they were recognized much worse, right? And you can see from the left the drawing where there were a lot of hatches, and this is why these walls, they're kind of cut off. And then we kind of taught our system to define such places, and it became better. Then we also had problems with defining footprints, especially on a very messy drawings with a lot of dimensions, with some external context, right? So you can see from the left side input, and you can see the initial results, which are under section before, and then something we improved, which is under section after. That's the most kind of boring topic, right? So it's a very, I would say, thoughtful process. So you expand your data set, you validate your mistakes, you find the way whether it's connected with a data set or maybe with algorithms you launch after it, right? So and you just improve it step by step, and that's boring, really boring. So let's go further. So then editing measurements is uncomfortable. So when we build the product, obviously, as I told you before, it's not 100% accurate, right? So for example, this specific measurement, let's choose this one. I think we can isolate this one, right? And that's not exactly what we want to see here. And by some reason, the machine kind of cut off this balcony or terrace, right? So there are a bunch of different ways to adjust it. So as you see here, first of all, we allow our users to move things like I show you right now. Another point, we build up quite powerful tool of editing measurements, right? So you basically choose your point, you move your point, you can remove your point, right? So you can remove a few points, and then you can choose this specific one, drag it a little bit here, right? Then you can press on this one, remove this one, maybe you don't need this place, you remove it, you remove this point, and this is how you adjust basically. So this is how you kind of adjust any result, right? So this is the first type of adjustments when you got measurements a little bit wrong and you need to fix them, right? Obviously, when you have problems with unnecessary measurements, that's absolutely easy fix. For example, in the walls, we got for example, this one as a wall, and maybe we don't need it, so we just choose it. We basically remove this measurement, right? Also, we have problems when we didn't define properly what measurement it is, right? So this one, for example, right? By some reason, we didn't have the cycle store or residential lobby, or maybe this, I don't know, risers, right? So we have defined electrical risers, but we didn't define heat riser and water riser. And in order to fix that, you need to choose this measurement. It will be immediately expanded in a folder, and then to fix that, you need basically to drag and drop this measurement in the proper folder. For example, I move it to the vent, and then I can choose the whole folder, and I can set up one color for the whole folder, right? So we built quite a lot of I would say tools which help you to actually to do those fixes quite quickly. And obviously, I just mentioned a few of them. If I draw something kind of very specific here, right, and then I'm gonna show you what other ways to edit this specific measurement. You can choose those points. You can make them horizontal, right? So you can vertical. Sorry, you can choose those points. You can make them horizontal. Let's say then you can choose those ones, and this is how you can kind of also do fixes quite quickly, right? So as you see, I just make this object relatively quickly with help of our alignment tools and other things, right? So let's stop on this. So we have plenty of different tools which help you to kind of to fix the problems from auto measure. Then I already mentioned this case that it didn't work properly on drawings that had hatches. It's fixed. Then search and measurements is a hell loop. Yeah, it was actually, simply because we didn't have this smart search where you can just type wall, right? Or you can even type window, right? Let's say window, and then you can go further and you can describe what you're looking for, right? The same story actually in Excel spreadsheet, right? So if you have Excel spreadsheet here, and you want to search for something, you just press this search button and then you can start. So window, and let's say you want to search even further, you press 1000 and you will see only windows with a 1000 millimeters width, right? So it's quite smart search. Besides those searches, we have specific filters which can show you unscheduled stuff, scheduled stuff, cell range. The cell range is a particular one, and it also has its own version in Excel spreadsheet. So I can choose this cell range, and then the software will show me only the measurement from the cell where I am, right? So I just choose this specific range and it shows me the measurements. I choose another range, it shows me the measurements, right? I choose this range, it shows me the measurements. So this is how you can kind of go like row by row, and you can do validation of your measurements, right? Let's go back. Then, can you separate external and internal elements? Yes, it was a very kind of common feedback, and that's why we actually created these categories. For example, in the doors, we can see external doors, right? Which are those doors. And we also have internal doors, right? The same story for window. We have different widths of windows, right? Obviously, the same story for walls. External walls, internal walls. Yeah, so let's go back here. Then can you group measurements in accordance with NRM, NIA, GIA, right? So yeah, yes, this is what I called secondary measurements, right? So we had the primary measurements, and then we organize them in the NIA, right? So it just give us net internal area, living area, and so yeah, here it is. Then too much data. What am I supposed to do? Yeah, that's very popular question. And actually the answer, it was given already. So you use search, you use filters, you know, software built in a way where it has a very flexible use of workflow. So you can build up your own process, you can build up your own flow, and you can follow your flow, right? So you can do adjustments from measurements, you can go to spreadsheet, you can use different filters, you can hide everything except the thing you are focused on. Right now you pick this thing, you hide it, you go further, you give it a color, you know, it's just like there are plenty of ways, and they all about how QS or cost estimator works. So it's about building your own flow within a tool. So we didn't want our tool to define the flow, we wanted our customers to define a flow within a tool, right? So okay, you see, right? So then users came, they gave us feedback, we worked it out, we improved our tool, and we actually shared it further. And then there were the second wave of feedback, which is a little bit harder to implement, and I just want to share it with you, and because most of you guys, you know about this, but anyway, let's see what do we have here. The first one, people want to see, our customers want to see different methods of measurements, right? Some people measure bathroom as a bathroom, as an internal area. Some people include half of the door, half of the opening, right? Some people include the full opening, some people separate bathroom for the tiling area and screening area, right? So it's kind of different methods of measurements. The same story for the walls. Within our tool, we can give you the wall polygon, and you still can get all necessary lenses if you will just choose segments and connect them to the spreadsheet, right? But obviously people want to see, okay, this is internal bearing wall, this is non-bearing wall, this is our shafts, etc., etc. That's pretty tough thing actually. It's not easy to implement, and this is the first feedback from the second wave. And the second feedback was that the validation itself took me more time than I expected. That's the actual quote. Let's say that's average quote from the people who worked with our alter measure. So what we did calculate the average detection score, and it was quite high. It was 80%. Obviously, the way we did calculate it, it was the way related to our customers, right? So detected, not detected, errors, success, right? So obviously we have our internal metrics, but they don't make any sense for our customers. This is why we used kind of like object-related metrics or something like that, right? So it seems like 80% is quite enough, but actually it's not. And the point here is that actually quantity surveyors and cost estimators, when they work, they build narrative. They kind of swallow those drawings, they digest them, right? And they build their stories. And when they have a bunch of data and they know that, okay, there is an 80% accuracy and there can be huge mistakes, right? It's one story to kind of to skip the window, and it's completely another story to measure in the wrong way the corridor area, right? This is why people needed to go through each measurement and validate it, and it took them more time than they expected, right? So this is a really big problem. And so those are two main things from the second wave feedback, right? So the first one, methods of measurements, and the second one, validation, takes a lot of time, right? So here, for a second, let's pause my presentation and let's go through questions you have, and then we will continue. I'll show you what conclusions we've made out of the second wave of feedback and what we are working on right now. So the first question from Bart, how do you deal with heights? These do not show on plan but are vital for the glazing, for example, right? Yes, right. It's a good question, right? So we, as I said before, we can recognize today only plans, right? The other things should be done by user manually. So in Excel spreadsheet, you can build up your own template. You can get the data from the plan, and obviously you will need to populate an additional data, and you will need to work it out. That's something we'll leave on the customer's shoulders. Okay, that's a good question. The second question from Dharmik, hopefully I read it right. So can it measure different wall type on elevation? So unfortunately it cannot. Today it works only with the floor plans. The third question, can this work with reflected ceiling plans? Yes, it can definitely. So again, I cannot guarantee you 80% accuracy, but it will read your ceilings and it will give you some data. Okay, let's go further. Would it be possible to insert a standard height measurement for internal height? I mean, yes, it is possible. And I already explained that you can go to spreadsheet, you can have a separate height table, right? And then you can use it when you calculate your bill of quantities or whatever you are calculating, right? So then the next question is, every PDF used within the data set get absorbed into the data set, and how does this get validated for accuracy? A nice question from James. So James, Yeah, I mean, that's a big question. So first of all, we cannot use customers' data. That's the first problem we have, right? So we can use the customers' data only when they allow us to use their data. I mean their PDFs, right? So in the cases when they allow us to use their PDFs, we do this validation manually. We have a bunch of people, I would say 3 people, which we call labelers, and what they do, they get the PDF and they kind of put a mark on it, and they say, okay, the point of definition the walls was 3, the point of defining the windows was 5, and then we post process those drawings, we do validate them, and we improve our data set or our algorithms, and this is how it works. So it's mostly manual process for now, simply because we don't have enough well qualified and validated data from the customers, and it's hard to define whether someone just played a little bit around and had some fun, or when someone did the proper job on this particular drawing. We probably will add in the future a specific stage for the project when, like, okay, the drawing is approved, let's use it for auto measure or something like that. But for now, it is quite manual. So, okay, good question. The next question from Amir. What all scopes we would be able to quantify using platform? So yeah, so for today it's everything you saw. So it's a flats, rooms, walls, windows, doors, all different kind of spaces, right? And also groups of them like NIA, GIA, floods, etc. So okay, then the next question from Ewald. Africa, slow to adopt tech. Most architects do not create good BIM models. How is this trend compared to other countries? So, do say 90% of architects do proper BIM models in other countries? Okay, it's a very, it's a cool question. I would say that you guys not alone. BIM models are still not a very common case. I would say that was the reason why we built our 2D takeoff software, because we didn't see enough BIM models in the market. I mean, we saw enough BIM models in the market. We just didn't see enough BIM models in a workflows. We didn't see enough BIM models which people work on. So I mean, it's a different like the BIM model you see that was created by, I don't know, a student, or that was created on a very early stage, and a BIM model which used for the construction is completely different stages, and unfortunately BIM models, they usually cannot survive until the construction stage, right? So who is your biggest competition? I mean, it's a good question, and obviously we have the whole market of competitors, right? So quantity surveying and cost estimating software, they have a 20, 15 years histories, right? So it's a Costex, Bluebeam, it's a Plan Swift. I can name 10 or 15 different software products, and they're all great, obviously, right? They've been here for a while. And yeah, it's tough deal for us to actually to beat them on something. This is why we try to kind of to make a very flexible, user-friendly software, very quick, with some cool automation as a cherry on cake. And this is kind of our strategy against our competitors. So what do you think the future for the Kreo and for any other QS software in, say, the next 5 years? So I really think that the things will move toward BIM, but I'm not sure about 5 years. I mean, I'm quite optimistic about technology adoption, but I'm trying to sell software in this market around 2 years, and it grounded me. So now I'm kind of on the ground, and I can see that in the next 5 years we will see more BIM models, but still we will rely on 2D drawings. That's what I think. Okay, let's go further. So another question from Dharmik. Yeah, it's a very good question. So yes, Excel spreadsheet can be detached from the first screen. You can move it to the second screen, and then you will have the first screen with a PDF browser and the second one with Excel spreadsheet. So yeah, it works. You can do that. So as for floor plan consult, product is good. Looking forward for future to use it in all building material estimate. Yeah, we work on it. It's not easy. We work on MEP drawings. We work on roofing. So we kind of try to cover more trades. As for now, we can cover manually, not manually. Like our tool allows you to cover like literally all trades you have in mind. But obviously, the best automation we have around floor plans. And when you need to search for similar objects, this is our auto count function. Yeah, I love the product too, Emma wrote. Thank you, Emma, we appreciate your feedback. You help us a lot to improve the product. And a positive comment from Barry. Great to see how it has developed so much. Thank you, Barry. Thanks for your insights. So yeah, okay, it's quite a lot of questions, guys. Thank you very much. It's cool. Let's then go further. So what do we think about our current auto measure and when it's suitable, right? So currently we see that it is suitable for anyone who can accept 80% accuracy. So this can be initial stage of quantification for developers, consultancies, and builders. And we actually have some companies who use our auto measure API for these purposes, but I'm not sure I can name them. This is why I'll skip this part. So you see, right? So that's when it's suitable today. And obviously, our internal conclusion, especially after second wave of feedback, is that the quantity surveying process is about building narrative and signing it off, right? So, and this is when no one will sign off a black box result even if they 95% accurate, right? So we think we need to give people better tool, because this kind of dump of data, it doesn't work very well. So people need to spend a lot of time on the validation, and this is why we want to improve our tool. And now I just want to explain a little bit how we want to improve our tool. And so the point is, we don't want to give like 200 measurements and like, okay, go validate it by yourself, go group them, go edit them, go remove them, right? So it doesn't work. We want to give a tool which will help our customers to kind of to do their job step by step, right? This is why we will try to build something which will predict the next point from the customer, right? I'll show you it's a secret, it's a big secret, guys. I'll show you something we built as a prototype, as you came to this webinar, and we appreciate it, and just like an idea how it will work like it. And it's a very raw result, it's not super accurate, and but the point is like you press on a point, or user press on a point, and we predict the next point, then we predict the next point, then the next one, and then we close the polygon. So you basically, as you see it, the good thing about this tool that it can work not only on the floor plans, but it can work on the facades too, or any cross sections, right? So you press on something as a first point. You see, I've chosen this corner, and it predicts the rest points. I've chosen this particular corner, and it will predict the next points, right? So that's something we work right now, and this is what we have in mind. And we want to give a tool, we want to build a tool which will allow our customers to go through things they need to measure, and we will just help them measure it quicker and better. That's the idea under the hood, right? So, but obviously we built all this technology in a very deep collaboration and discussions with our customers. So if you're using our product, please continue to talk to us about your ideas, about your feedback. We always digest it and we appreciate it a lot. And yeah, we appreciate your help, guys. Thank you very much for that. So look, that's pretty much it. I mean, just a quick summary, right? So we went through idea, challenges, we discussed what we've built, then users came, we got feedback, we improved it, I showed you how did we improve it. Then the second wave of feedback we are working on, it's about methods of measurements and it's about accuracy, or maybe the way how we cook this technology, right? Then we had a nice Q&A session and I kind of explain who are our current users for the auto measure function, especially for the API. And yeah, I just cannot name these companies, but nevertheless, right? So then I shared with you our internal conclusions and gave a very small insight of what we are working on. And thank you for your attention. I appreciate you spend time with us and hopefully we'll have more webinars in the future. Thank you very much.